we are now talking English because with Oliver we are only talking English. We had someone in the audience as well who was only talking, so that's fine. Thank you so much for being here. This is maybe you can tell us.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so my name is Ollie. I'm the Chief of Operations at a company called Faircado based in Berlin. We have a browser extension, so whenever you look for anything online, we pop up and show cheaper second-hand alternatives, which are better for the environment. So whether you're looking for fashion, electronic, books, whatever you're looking for, we pop up in the corner and show you it in second-hand.
Okay, I think that's such a great idea. Thank you for being here, and I'm really sorry for the technical difficulties for the start. But yeah, I invited you today because we want to take a look at your browser extension at Faircado. I think at the moment, what do we see here? We can surf the web, and it's a browser extension, so it pops up whenever it wants to reach me. But at the moment, I can even use it as a little web shop, as I understand it, right? But now, for example, if I'm here at Amazon, and I would, for example, I don't know, search for a Nike sneaker or something like that.
And this is where it doesn't work for today.
Let's see. Looks like it's thinking. Okay. So here we are. So I'm in the market for a new shoe, and I surf it, and then now what am I suggested here?
So the way it works is basically we look at the image and the title of the product, and we pop up and show similar alternatives. So for this specific product, maybe this is a kind of new Nike shoe that hasn't been available in a second hand yet. So we kind of try to show you more second hand alternatives. The other cool thing that Faircado does is if you click. How do I do that on here?
With 2 fingers.
Yeah. 2 fingers, and then sometimes it's cooler if you image search, and then we're able to show you more specific, exact matches you're looking for on second hand. So that works all for books, fashion, and electronics as well.
Oh, that's really nice. Okay, so here we would have our first challenge. How can we get users to see that? Yeah, but I wanted to start at the start. So I think in general, when we look at design, we could take a look at the graphic design, obviously, at first, and say how does it look to us. But I want actually saying that's really looking clean and really good from the start, from the get-go. But I would really start with the functional design. So what I'm seeing is when I surf around here, it hides itself, right? And how can I make clear when it will come back again? When will it return?
Yeah. So the way it returns is whenever you type and whenever you click on a specific product. So when we type in Nike, so Air Force One would be a good one. It will pop up there, and then if you clicked on a specific product, it should also pop up. So yeah, it should hopefully give some better results, which are cheaper.
Okay, I give it a second.
So yeah, that's when it's really triggered. The reason why we've hit it before is because we have a constant battle at Faircado between what users are suggesting and what we should build. One of the things that they suggest is we don't want to see Faircado popping up all the time, right? And so we decide to hide it when a user carries on with their user journey and their normal shopping habits.
Okay, so the reason why you hide it and you show it again is because you want to focus the users on the main web navigation.
Yes.
Is there another way you could position that? Does it always have to be this overlay here on the right hand side? Because as you see, like, okay, obviously you want people to consider your choices, but if I want to actually buy this now, if I have this extension enabled, it would make it a bit harder for me to buy it, right?
Yeah, it's very true. So what we actually do have, and is when this kind of badge functionality, if you want to remain more of like a low-key kind of icon in the corner, we have this. I think the reason why we started off doing actually what you suggested, Chris, doing it this way, but then what we realized is like business metrics started dropping, so we started seeing less clicks, less people are engaging because the icon was smaller, and it was one of these weird design things where we listened to the users, but it actually kind of killed off our own business internal metrics.
Okay, that's an important point. Not always, as I said in the presentation maybe before, users don't know exactly what they want, and sometimes listening can give you a clue. So maybe what they don't like is that you hide the content here. Maybe I don't know the specific technological possibilities here, but an overlay would, at least from a design perspective, would not be the only solution that you have. Maybe there's a possibility to build that into a sort of sidebar that the rest of the web content could actually responsive reflow, and this button here would now actually be here, and you could see the whole website and the whole your whole application, your widget, and also you have more vertical space here at the same time. I don't know if this would be possible, but I think not hiding the content would remove you from this need to hide this, because I agree, if you minimize it for some reason, okay, this number is really small, it goes down in this whole web, because you have no control over how the websites look. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so this is totally possible. One of the things we can do is basically what we call injecting the code directly into the web page itself. So this can appear in however we wanted. For example, we could even have it under the traditional buy now button on Amazon, like a Faircado buy now button, which triggers the entire thing. So it allows the user to carry on with their overall user journey, basically, as usual.
So making it into a sidebar would either require the browser to enable you to do that, or you could inject the code in a way that you would use the outermost layer of the website, compress it, and put it to the right.
Exactly, yeah.
Because I think only the hiding of the content leads the users to ask that. I had the same issue. I thought I can move that somewhere else, but in general, in our experience, being able to move windows around, people will use that to ruin their experience. Yeah. They will put it in a place where they no longer want it, and then and you don't want them to rearrange windows, right? You want them to consider their buying choices. Yeah, right?
No, it makes total sense.
Yeah. There's a couple of things just from starting from a basic usability standpoint. I like the clear layout, but I would love to have a better indication of what is interactive and what is not. At the moment, for example, if I use my mouse here, for some reason, I clicked, okay. If I move my mouse here, I don't get a hover state, for example. I get a tooltip, that's nice, where I cannot see the complete title, but these buttons here, there is no hover state, right, for the icon as well. Below here, I'm not sure whether that's a technical limitation from the extension library, or I know in startups there's so much that you can do. You need to focus, but I think increasing the feedback of the software helps users identify those, and even makes it a little bit more fun to use and to click. Yeah. So that could positively influence that people actually use that functionality. So
what would you suggest there?
Yeah. So first and foremost, I think it's for your main interaction point. So either the question is what you want to achieve. Do you want to suggest, okay, this is our most important button at the moment? I'm not really sure whether that's a button to go and buy, or whether that's a highlighting of the price, right? Yeah. So if this is the most important interaction, then having a hover state here would be really nice. But what I could also imagine is the whole box here being a button, in fact. And this could, if you hover it, it comes a bit closer to you. Either maybe a little pop out, you can, which is really easily done with modern technology. So, or highlighting it with a different color, right? To invite the users to click on it. Also, for the interactions which are not yet learned, we could add tooltips as well. Yes. Yeah, you have these tooltips for the labels, but also so what is happening if I click on this heart, for example. I know that's partly learned, but what I would really suggest is, if I use this for the first time, at the moment I have not really saved any objects, right?
Yeah.
So I'm here in this. I found this bottom menu here, and there are explanations of what that does. But let's say at first, we can talk about that. At first, what you want to do is you want to have this cruise control.
Yeah.
People are actually, they are not really surfing your extension, but they're surfing the web, and you guide them and you accompany them, right? So it's not really a search from my perspective, but it's this accompaniment of the user. So they haven't saved anything, but these hearts, for example, I like that, and I would suggest, for example, not having these navigation points from the start.
Okay.
So if we say, because at the moment, if I take a bigger picture look, there's a lot going on already.
Yeah.
And you are not alone on the screen, you know. You have all these, like the website, there's a lot going on already. Amazon, we are really used to it, but it's not the best information architecture and design. If you can remove the complexity of your extension, I think that's a net positive, to have more focus on the actual products. So maybe we don't need that navigation at first, or maybe we don't need the more advanced functions like the minimization, or what actually is that, the moon, right?
It's like do not disturb, so we won't pop up for a certain period of time.
So you don't want it to appear anymore, right? Okay, that's a good feature for users who don't like it, but maybe that's a feature you don't need at first with your first interaction. So you could say here, okay, if we remove that first and a part of the top as well, you could say after the user has first saved an item, I like these shoes, I want to keep an eye on them, right? I click on the little heart, have it either, I would say save it first, simply straightforward directly, maybe not the collection. You need to, because again, I'm asked something, what is a collection? I don't know, right?
Yeah.
At the first interaction. So, but when I've added it to my favorites, like I did now, I like that it responded, then you can either, maybe not on the bottom, maybe now on the top, because we have more space there, we could bring this heart up, and the app actually reacts to the user using it, and that's what we call not usability but learnability. The application can respond to the user progressing in experience with it. So you can imagine if I first start, that all is gone. On the top, a lot is removed, and I only have a list of the products that fit. More space for the products, a bit easier to digest. Yeah. And as soon as I start saving something, it expands. It's like, oh, cool, there's this new function. Yeah. What can that do? Oh, okay, cool, I can I can save products. Then on this save products page, I could say, I can maybe create a list here, and I can move products there. But I'm not quite sure how deep this interaction has to go, because your focus should be on the products again, and on maybe if the user wanted, then taking it, and really a lot of product management, like 30 here, this is a list, these 10 lists. I don't know if an extension if this is the main focus, or because it's always there. It accompanies you anyway. Users already group their interest in their bookmarks, for example, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you don't even need that kind of deep structural composition of lists. Yeah,
fair point. To answer the last bit, it's definitely something we want to improve on. We have like a mobile app releasing the next couple of weeks, and I think this will be maybe more applicable to that. I would say users were more likely to favorite and create collections on their mobile. And I think, especially on the mobile, the value proposition for Faircado becomes a lot more stronger. We're kind of doing something innovative, that you have 10 different apps to buy 10 different types of secondhand items on, and we aggregate them into one place where you can purchase everything through. So, yeah, I think definitely fair point, and it's just something that we haven't thought about yet.
Oh, that's why we're here, right? So I love that. If you take a mobile app, you don't need to mirror it right bit for bit, because like as soon as then people go there, they go specifically to your place, and maybe there you have more powerful features. Again, because if it's the place to start, I would say the core, like the heart of Faircado, is still accompanying your web browsing, and that's hard to do on mobile just because of the space constraints, right? It's harder. So I would still say the mobile app, if you don't have an account yet, it should move you into the browser, it should move you into your extension, and then you have this like clean space where just like accompanying you, it could even, it doesn't, if it's possible to have that permanent, maybe it could even be like a little bit smaller at first, not a button, but for example, an area which goes just like this. We have big monitors on the desktop, so it wouldn't take too much space. And it could tell you, well, this is not, at the moment it's not, like I don't have something for you, right? And as soon as you find it, then it comes it comes into view, and it tells you these are your products, and you're not, again, for a first start, this could be overwhelming. You have these window controls. You have, if I go back, where do I go back? Because actually, going back is more here, right? I'm surfing. Do I want to go into a different search? This is an option, but it takes a lot of space. Like if you can see. Just from a space use at the moment, how much space is allocated to the product, you have less than 50% of your area that you have at your disposal is used for the product that the user is searching, right? You have the header, the search, refine your search, clothing and accessories, which probably you know that you're in clothing and accessories because you're at Amazon, right? And then you have these the products, and then you have the bottom row. If you can remove all of that and just put the products, it would be easier to use at first. And then you can gradually build upon that. Yeah, the refine your search first confused me a little bit as well, because for example, if I click here, I leave my train of thought more or less, right? Because I go into the category, more or less, I'm now in the Faircado website, or sometimes it happens something else. I don't know what is happening when I click this. So maybe you can explain.
The actual way it works is we've had a lot of issue with search, especially when people type in Harry Potter. This is like a common thing on our extension. What do you mean when you type in Harry Potter? Do you mean the books, the the films, merchandise, clothing, whatever? So we basically, as a startup, we have to prioritize. Do we put the power in like the tech team to try and work it out, or do we put the power in the hand of the users for them to like basically decide? So we created this refine your search. So if we did type in Harry Potter, maybe it would give us 5 different categories, and then the user can decide if they want to choose books, video games, whatever, and go from there. Or you can just type directly in the corner in the actual extension. I think that's probably the easier way.
Okay.
Because it might just so.
No, but it's done.
These are the pains that I have to go through every day of my life when people type in red shoes, and turns out red shoes is actually a clothing brand, and they want to see that rather than the color red. And search relevance, it keeps me up at night.
I'm sorry about that. You need your sleep, right?
So if you can solve that, Chris, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so I get that. For me, it comes back to this crucial point. What do you expect your users to do? Do you want them to surf, and you are this helpful little guy on their shoulder, telling them, well, we have an alternative for that, right? Or do you actually want them to go there and surf here? But what you're doing now is you're actually making desktop users into mobile users, while still being confused by all this desktop stuff. So when you go here, I now feel like I want more space. If you want to offer this option, go big, right? So if you can do that, right? Go responsive. Say, okay, you can use Faircado as a full-blown, ecological and ethically alternative shopping platform. Great. But the browser extension is I feel the potential of that extension is that I don't have to go into this single place. It's just, it helps me wherever I go. But we need, wherever I go, I still define here. Not on Amazon, but in the browser, in the larger browser. And I'm not sure if they want to specify what they search, it is better to keep them in the train of thought that they specify it where they are now. Because I go here and I say, yeah, okay, Harry Potter. No, I actually meant books. Yeah, so I'm already used to that. I don't have to get used to a new thing. Hope we can find out that they are now looking for books, and we show books there, right? So, so, and again, we would gain a lot of screen estate, and a lot of we would reduce complexity. And what we always have in mind when doing that is this concept of signal to noise ratio. You heard about it probably. So how much information is actually relevant to the user at the moment, and what is information that we could probably get rid of or remove. So we increase this ratio of signal, which is the relevant information, to the noise, which is diverting. And if you really double down on this companionship, focusing on the navigation here, and we just help you find better alternatives, then you can have all signal, really, like just by removing a lot of options here. And I think that's so powerful. I think this idea is so great. I think a lot of people, if they see I have a matching alternative here, which has a smaller carbon footprint, nothing new has to be created, a lot of people would love to do that. But going into this smaller mobile app while I'm still surfing in my commonly used websites is a way that they won't do for that. They can just do whatever they do, and you just present them these alternatives, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then I just want to add on that. This is something we've always been confused at, I think, as a startup, is, are we a tool which pops up, or are we a tool that people search in? And I think we've been around for just over 2 years, and I think probably the last few weeks we've just realized that there's a mobile experience and a desktop experience, exactly as Chris mentioned, and hence a need for this mobile app, which is coming out soon. The mobile app, the main value proposition will be users can search and utilize basically Faircado as a search engine, and the desktop should be, we pop up and show you cheaper second-hand alternatives, and that's it. I think it was just one of these things where, if anyone's ever worked in the startup, you don't really know what you're doing. You just kind of build, release, and then hope people use it over and over again. So yeah.
It's completely normal process, and we even talked about that before earlier here, that while designing and redesigning and implementing, you actually learn what you will actually do, and you can understand here that you can play to the strengths of that platform, of the browser extension, to just be there in the background, and you have the suggestions, and if you want to dig deeper, go into an app, or in the long run, maybe go into a full-blown, like on the desktop as well. Why not? But not at the same time, not everything at the same time. Maybe talking a bit about graphic design, I really wanted to highlight that overall, I love your graphic design direction. When we first talked, you said, oh, well, you have a lot of hats, a lot of people, they do this, you do that, you do a lot of that yourself in implementation. For that kind of process, this is great. This is a great looking software, I believe. I've seen much worse, so you're actually a designer, whether you call yourself one or not, but this is a successful design, and it's distinct. That's what I like. It has a character, it has flair, but obviously we are here, so I wouldn't be me if I would say there are maybe some suggestions to help it shine a bit more. And just from the graphic design alone is, we need to reconsider or consider especially that it's never alone, at least in this place as a browser extension. I'm really focusing on the extension here. You're never quite alone on the screen. So at the moment, I think what we discussed earlier, okay, there's a lot going on, so maybe removing what is going on helps you being a bit more clear, but also to me, really small details like these areas, and there's actually a shadow down here. It's a bit too close to the content, because depending on how much content is here, this can get quite hard to distinguish from one another. So I would suggest first increasing a bit of, giving a bit more air from a graphic design, giving a bit more distinction to the content. Maybe if we say we could expand that maybe to a sidebar, if that's possible, we could have a space more like this, yeah, a bit more distance to the actual content, to have more breathing room, to differentiate between the website and your site. Also, one area you could experiment with is, at the moment we have more or less the same light, like the same amount of color, the same amount of white space compared between the website and the widget. And what users now are used to, for example, is dark mode. And obviously Amazon, as far as I know, it doesn't have a dark mode. But you could say, okay, for Amazon, you could invert the color, and this would give a completely different, like it would look so different, like this darker kind of area on the right-hand side, and it would help distinction. And if we have a light website, we could, or a dark website, you could make a lighter one. If you're able, if they programmed it in a correct way, you can use that. Obviously, then your reach is not as high. You cannot make it really dark or really light, because if you have a dark mode website and you have this bright application in the right-hand corner, it's like, oh god, I don't see anything, right? Yeah. We all have had that happen to us when we use dark mode, but you can make it lighter, or even in the middle area, the grays. But I wouldn't do it gray, because I love your green. That's such a distinct and such a great color. I would even make more use of it. If we can just imagine, don't change anything at all, but make everything, like these areas and the background on top, also green. Yeah. For example, this would give the whole thing more consistency. Yeah? But obviously combined with removing a few of these elements, reducing complexity would give it more of a distinct character, and it helps differentiating. And another one of my pet peeves is I always focus on borders. Yeah. I love borders as a graphical design element, but borders are really hard. I don't know how you feel about it, having designed that, because really quickly in areas like this on top here and here as well, it can get, it's like these boxes in boxes in boxes next to boxes, and you get you lose a bit of the feeling of what is front and what is back. What are you actually trying to distinguish from one another, right? So in this area, for example, like what is background, what is foreground. The color helps, but you have a lot of lines, and lines, when I don't focus clearly what I'm doing, if I'm just scanning, lines are pretty similar to type. And so when I'm not completely focusing on the screen, it can sometimes feel like I'm really like, okay, where do I read, right? It looks almost the same. I think the black borders with the green and the white is actually the most distinct part of your app. So I would try to use it, but like in a little less, so it stands out more. For example, if you want to wrap the products in it, this is great, but it doesn't have to wrap everything. But because at the moment everything is wrapped with a black border for some reason. Yeah. If you go this way, I would go even more overboard and wrap the whole application as well in a black border. Yeah. Because that's the only part where no black borders, and I don't. Where does this end? Why does it stop? Right? You could even go further than that. But I think going one step back elevates it 2 steps more, and you have this stark. I think this heroic image of the product is so important for you to identify it as a product, make it attractive, and make me want to click it, want to interact with it almost, right? And then the way forward could be to get rid of shadows completely. That's completely fine. You don't need shadows if you have so strong borders, and go into a shadowless. Shadows are actually like height and light, so you can make a completely flat interface. I think it's working already pretty well. The only thing, like, I think it's a bit overused, let's say.
Yes,
like this box here, this box here. So maybe one box would be enough, and the price, for example, if the price wouldn't be a box, if the whole plate here could be a button, right? You could make the price much bigger because it's way more room. And if we use a green, not as light, but in similar character, and make a nicer looking price, nice typography, then we have more breathing room. We can still see the prices really easily. We still have the big border around it, and like it pulls me in on the same time.
So how do you decide which is the most, I guess, like important part of for users to draw attention to?
There's no right or wrong answer to doing it. You just need to commit to one or the other.
Okay.
If this is the most important, if you want this to be a button, which is a bit hard because there's no label, right? There's just a price. In the App Store, I think, and the App Store is a pretty prominent example for mobile design. Most people know that. In the App Stores, the prices are the buttons to buy something. So you can like piggyback on that association. But you could then be afraid as a user, if I click that, I'm buying it. But you won't, right? If you click that, you go actually into you go into the website that we haven't shown that before, but we should. Let's I don't know. We are now okay. Let's see. We are buying Harry Potter coins,
Apparently,
on eBay. Okay, so we are leaving the extension, and I think that's a good thing. I wouldn't hide it because. Now again, you've broken my train of thought. Maybe I want the second thing, right? But now it's gone. I need to navigate back, and I can't because it's a new tab. So here, probably it would have been better, not opening a tab, but actually, if this would be a sidebar with my bookmarks, you could click, right? And you would stay here, and opening a tab, this was destroyed, and now I'm lost, right? So, okay, but we were at the other part, clicking on the price. My feeling, and as I said, there's no right or wrong. You can commit to that. Okay, if you commit on making that the most important button, I would remove the button aesthetics from this tab altogether. This should more feel like this light area representing the product, and then you have this bright and shiny price button. Oh, it's so beautiful, I want to click it, right? So Steve Jobs always said, I want to lick it, like Aqua, So there's worth in that, like recognizing it as a button, but really wanting to click it. And at the moment, it's combating each other. And even like here, there's a background, and it's a foreground actually, so it's combating. If that's most important, make that bigger. I would say make it bigger, give it a really nice hover, and remove the border from this one. And maybe don't have different backgrounds, but a line to separate the items from each other, and not have a conflicting. This would be one way. I'm still thinking, maybe that's not the correct way, because I'm afraid that I buy something directly if I click the price. So at the moment, I would first try removing the button from the price altogether, making the typography of the price bigger, not too big, because we know big typography means expensive. So, but you see here, for example, the size difference. The relative size of the price is still the biggest information in the whole text here. That's one part they got right. They have way too much text. That's horrible. But at least I can find the price quickly. Because there's a lot of white space around, and it's pretty big, right? And the cents are, no one cares, right? And the euros. So if you take this price from the size and put it here without the emphasis, I think where do I click gets clearer again. But then you have a different. So you have the challenge to make this whole thing a button. So I would think the condition, for some reason, for me, it breaks the consistency a bit. I would try to, I think the condition, but okay, now I'm asking you. Do you think the condition is way more important than the other meta information here?
So we actually just removed the condition like 2 days ago. Basically, we did a series of user testing and realized that people don't really care about like the condition on, they know it's secondhand and it's like they want to go investigate it in further. And there's also a lot of lack of trust. So a lot of people use Faircado to shop for electronics. Say an iPhone, you don't really trust what Faircado says. If it says just like good condition, right? You shouldn't base your entire purchase decision off that.
Mm-hmm.
So we just removed that, and it's kind of an experiment we're still waiting to see results from.
Okay, so we could remove that, or you could make it less important, have it in the same manner like this, and have this whole. Then I would try to block these information as much as possible, because they are only for the really interested, because there's not much risk in just clicking and then reading more. So make that into a block. When you want to know it, you can know it, but it gets out of the way. Price more, and then now we have this huge area which responds to my mouse cursor, and the only challenge left would be how to differentiate now clicking on the heart, because it's a different action than clicking on the whole tile, and this either you would have the heart maybe moving it out of the tile, showing it only when you hover. The nice thing is that you can pretty much expect people to have a mouse here as well, right? So you can design for that, you can build for that. You know they have a pointer, you know you have a hover state, that the mouse is either outside or it's inside. And if it's inside, we could, for example, show the heart up here. There would be an expectation sometimes, or here, more in the corner, and it would take like an active effort to go there and click it, and then it would have a different hover. Like if I'm here anywhere, the whole tile would light up, and if I go into the heart would come towards me or react, and the tile would be passive again, right? So you can play around. You could play around with that. This would help. Like in the rest of the application, I think it works so good. I love that. I love that button. I love the whole feel of the whole page. I think that's why I said you have such a distinct graphic design, but this feels completely different to the screen we saw before, right? Here is not really any kind of confusion. There are two areas where I can click, and that's because it's consistent. We have this background, this button is a great button. I want to click that, right? It even has some perspective. Because the bottom line is thicker. I like that. You could use that for the products as well. You can play with that, because this evokes perspective. This evokes depth, right? There's a physical feeling to that button. It is thick. And if you hover over it, this thickness could increase, right? Yeah. And the same with the products. They come towards me. You don't need shadow. You can use it just by displaying such a line. Really nice here as well. If we would, I love that. It's directly recognizable to Faircado, and I have not seen this exact style anywhere else. I like that. What I don't like so much is this, again, because this also looks like a button. It's an active state, but actually it's inviting me to click, but I'm already there, right? Okay. So to be honest, I'm not sure about the tabs here at all. Yeah. So maybe if you could think of a way to remove that, if you say the products are the most important part, this is like my main interaction point. Everything else, the favorites, the alerts, what is the difference? Maybe you could even say, okay, that's more or less the same. I favor the product, but I want that product, but not specifically that iteration, but remind me if new products of that come. It's more or less similar. And this one, you can make them a bit harder to reach at first, and also not as tabs, like in the same hierarchy next to each other, but like the products, main view. And then if you go to your favorites, it's a view above, or let's say below. It comes above, and if you can close it, and it goes back again, right? So, because they are different in importance. On the mobile app, different story, right? Yeah. Obviously, more depth of information, more functionality. But here, I don't think the tabs do you any favors. Just because for me, this is not quite a search. Yeah. So identifying this as a search has to be learned, but I have to learn anyway what you're doing. So if we remove that, it removes a lot of complexity, right? But the graphic design, love it. This is great. Here we also have a hover, right? Here we don't, sadly. That's nice. I would love to have that as well. Here again, this is an important button. Yeah, this maybe not, because I cannot even click it. So maybe it shouldn't look like one, right? Pick your poison, right? So rather this one. And I think all the elements are there. You have it all. You did it already. You just, there's little tweaks. I don't think it takes much, and you have a way clearer offer to the to your users, and it's way clearer to navigate and easier. And thus it will get used more.
Yeah.
Do you have any specific questions? Maybe what you would like to.
The only one I was quite interested to hear about was. So we spoke about before when we click on, I think this is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone in English.
One, yeah.
So Faircado will pop up, and when you click here, we get taken to a different tab. In this case, it's Medimops. How do we? I always get torn between, we've now taken the user out the whole Faircado journey. Like they are, like you said, lost their train of thought. Should we maybe keep them, just open the tab in the background and keep them on the Amazon page as they are, like in this screen, and keep opening the tabs, Medimops and so on? And just like to let you guys know, the way we make money is we have partnerships with Medimops and 50 other partners as well, so we get a percentage of sales. So it's kind of like one of these things where maybe the UX doesn't always match the KPIs of like the business, and how do we kind of make them more aligned to make the users happy, but also make our investors happy as well.
So, and what would you want to do at the moment to keep your investors happy?
I would like for the user to buy on Medimops the book they're looking for, but to make the users happy, I'd also like them to keep using Faircado and continuing to search.
Okay. I don't think that's exclusive at the moment. I think you have the possibility to do both. And it comes back to what we discussed earlier, that at the moment you create a new tab and Faircado is gone. And I don't like that. Why is it gone? Because there's still use for me. I don't have to decide. Okay, you want them to decide here, that's fine. They should be, Faircado should now not overlay this page, especially this button, let's say on a smaller screen, and I don't see that. That would be bad for both, not only for your investors, for the users, right? Yeah. And I think, like, okay, on the highest level, you need to align those goals. You need to find the place where the goal of your users is in your interest as a business as well. Yeah. Otherwise, I don't think you will have a long way to succeed. Yeah. You have to, like, if users need to act against their interest to make you happy, this is not a way to go. You cannot sustain that, and I wouldn't recommend it. So where is the sweet spot? As a user, I would expect, if I click on this, to not lose Faircado.
Yeah.
This should not go. I like it. Looks good, right? It's and the other products here, there are a lot of options for me. No, only two, but there could be a lot of options here, right? Yeah. There could be several.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Maybe because with shoes, for example, or with products, there are a lot of different colorways or different sizes. This has my size. This has another one. So I have these different suggestions here. I want to retain those, even if I click on one. And for me, this reminds me of bookmark bars. And like I cannot show that now, but if in a browser, normally if you have a bookmark bar, let's say here to the left, you would have a sidebar, which is static, right? It stays there. And you click on the first bookmark, and the bookmark would appear. And then you click on the second bookmark, and the bookmark appeared, but the bookmark bar remains. And if you make Faircado lighter and a bit more breathing room and a bit less noise, right? Then it's not disturbing me in my surfing. And if I interact with it, I would never hide that. I would even think about never hiding it, even if I move away, right? If I move away, what tells you that the user, for example, what I'm doing now is I'm here on Amazon on the book. I go back to the results, and it's away.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do that, because maybe they just maybe they want to retain the suggestions you had even now. Maybe now you have new ones. That's fine. It changes, and maybe there's an option here to return as well. Maybe the back arrow up over there should actually lead you back to the previous results. Depending on which page you were on, right? But if I click there, if I now return to the books, and the book suggestions come, this page should just load and replace the Amazon page. Then we have a new question, like how do I return here if I want that? But I think that could happen. If I open a new tab, I need to retain this reality here.
Yeah.
You can open a new tab, that's fine, but you need to retain this reality. I want to click on the second one, or the third one, or go deeper, or save it, or whatever. But this like destruction every time that I switch, I think that's not only against the interest of you as a business, but also against your users. And I think retaining this, giving it more of a navigational aid then here, is in both interests, and would probably be a sweet spot. I imagine. I would try.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, sounds good.
Cool. Oliver, thank you so much for coming.
Likewise.
It has been a pleasure.
Thank you, Chris.
Really, I hope you could take away some suggestions, and I'm definitely using Faircado now. I'm a big fan of that concept. I like it. I especially like with books, especially like buying reused. They are the same words. It's just it's a no-brainer. It's so nice. It's not only cheaper and it's just the better decision. So I love what you do. I wish you all the best. And
thank you so much anyway for having me on. And you'll see lots of improvements to Faircado in design in the next few weeks.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks.